Have you ever felt like your prayers were bouncing off the ceiling? Like you were shouting into a void, begging for help, desperate for just one sign that someone was listening. Maybe you lost someone you loved and couldn't understand why. Maybe you worked until your hands bled, sacrificed everything, believed with your whole heart, but nothing ever changed. Or maybe you're there right now, in that suffocating darkness where faith feels like a cruel joke. If you've ever whispered into the silence, "Are you there? Do you even see me?" Then listen closely. Because there was a man who lost everything he had. His prayers seemed to vanish into thin air until a gardener showed him what faith really is. And what he discovered in that garden will transform how you see every prayer that seems ignored, every moment of deafening silence, every season where you're just waiting. Don't leave until you hear the end. In a small village where neighbors knew everyone's stories, there lived a 35-year-old man named Marcus. Marcus had always walked the path of faith. He showed up to church every Sunday. He looked after his neighbors. He taught his children about kindness and goodness. He believed faith was simple mathematics. Be good, believe hard, pray often, and God keeps you safe. But life was preparing to show him that faith is something completely different. Everything started falling apart when his wife Elena developed a mysterious illness that had doctors scratching their heads. The medical tests drained their savings. The treatments never stopped. Every single week, the bills grew higher. Marcus prayed each morning, "Please make her well. We're doing our best here. Please don't let this get any worse." But Elena's health kept declining. The symptoms intensified. The bills kept piling up. Then 6 months into Elena's illness, the factory where Marcus had given 12 years of his life suddenly closed its doors. The entire operation shut down overnight. Just like that, his paycheck disappeared. Now he had zero income and crushing medical debt. Marcus prayed harder, more frantically. "Please, I need a job. My family is counting on me. I'm doing everything I can. I trust you. Why is all this happening?" Days stretched into weeks. Weeks turned into 2 long months. No job appeared. His carefully saved emergency fund was nearly empty. Then the phone call came that broke him completely. His mother had died without warning from a sudden heart attack. He hadn't known anything was wrong. He never got to say goodbye. That night, Marcus stood alone in his backyard beneath a cold, empty sky. His wife suffering upstairs, his mother gone forever, his savings almost depleted, his prayers seemingly ignored. He stared up at the darkness and spoke words he never imagined, saying, "I've done everything you ask. I believed in you. I prayed. I trusted completely, but you left me here alone. Why do I keep holding on to faith when faith changes absolutely nothing?" He dropped to his knees in the dirt, not to pray, but to surrender. "I'm finished," he whispered. "I can't keep believing anymore." But something deep inside him, maybe old habits, maybe pure desperation, maybe one final spark of hope, pushed him to get up the next morning and walk to the old monastery at the village edge. If he was going to walk away from faith, he wanted to explain himself to someone who would understand. He needed to talk to Brother Samuel, the elderly monk who cared for the monastery garden. Brother Samuel was 70 years old with hands marked by decades of working the monastery soil. He had survived war, devastating loss, and deep poverty. But he had never lost his calm, steady peace. When Marcus showed up, Brother Samuel was kneeling in the earth, gently caring for young seedlings. "Brother Samuel," Marcus said, his voice trembling with anger and hurt, "I need the truth. Does God actually exist? Because if he does, he clearly doesn't care about me." Brother Samuel looked up slowly, his eyes soft. "Sit here with me, Marcus." Marcus collapsed onto a wooden bench and everything came flooding out. Elena's baffling illness, the job that vanished, the bills burying him alive, his mother's shocking death, the prayers that hit walls, the faith that felt like stupidity. "I did everything right," Marcus yelled. "I believed, I prayed, I was good. And for what? To watch my family fall apart while God says nothing." He pointed at the garden. "You sit here planting seeds and praying like the world is fine. But you don't get it. Real life is brutal. Faith is just some story we invented to feel better about ourselves. It doesn't actually change anything." Brother Samuel didn't argue back. He didn't get defensive. He didn't lecture. He simply stood, brushed the dirt from his hands, and said, "Marcus, come with me. I need to show you something." Brother Samuel led Marcus to a section of the monastery garden split into 4 separate plots. Each one looked entirely different. "I need to show you something about faith that most people never understand," Brother Samuel said quietly. "These 4 plots will teach you what your pain couldn't." They stopped at the first plot. Dark, freshly turned earth. Nothing visible growing. "1 week ago I planted flower seeds right here." Brother Samuel said, "Tell me, Marcus, what do you see?" Marcus studied the empty dirt. "I see nothing, just bare soil." "Exactly." Brother Samuel nodded. "Empty dirt. but let me reveal what's actually happening. He knelt and carefully brushed aside the top layer of earth. There, barely noticeable, was a seed that had swollen to almost twice its original size with a tiny white root just starting to emerge. Look carefully, the seed has already started changing inside. It's absorbing water. Cells are multiplying. The outer shell is softening. Life has begun. But if you only judge by what's on the surface, he gestured to the bare plot, you would assume nothing is happening. You would think the seed died. But it's not dead, Marcus. It's working beneath the surface in complete darkness. They walked to the second plot. I planted these 3 weeks ago. What do you see now? Marcus examined the soil closely. At first, nothing. Then, barely there, tiny green shoots no taller than his fingernail breaking through the earth. I see something very tiny, almost invisible. Brother Samuel smiled gently. These seedlings are in the most difficult moment of their entire existence. They're pushing through soil that feels like solid rock to them, breaking toward light, every bit of energy focused on this single moment. He touched the earth reverently. Do you know why most seeds die right at this stage? Because breaking through demands everything they possess. One final enormous push. Many quit right here, right before they would touch the light. They're so close to making it, but they stop. He looked directly at Marcus with meaning. Does that sound familiar to you? The third plot showed healthy young plants, bright green leaves with small buds just starting to develop. These I planted 2 months ago. What stage are these in? They're close to blooming, Marcus said quietly. Yes, strong roots underneath, healthy stems above, buds forming. Everything is functioning exactly as it should, but they're not flowering yet. Brother Samuel paused. This is the stage where people grow impatient. Why aren't you blooming yet? You look ready. What's taking so long? But the plant understands something we don't. Rushing the bloom creates weak flowers. The bud needs proper time to develop fully. Not yet, it says. Soon, but not quite yet. Finally, they stood before a section exploding with flowers. Brilliant reds, yellows, purples. Sweet fragrance floated through the air. Bees moved from bloom to bloom, and these I planted 5 months ago. Marcus stood in silence, overwhelmed by the beauty. Brother Samuel turned to face Marcus directly, his weathered face full of compassion. 4 plots, same seeds, same soil, same water, same gardener, same love. The only difference is time and stage of growth. He walked back to the first plot, the one that appeared empty. Marcus, here's what you need to understand. This plot is not failing. It's not abandoned. It's not dead. God hasn't forgotten these seeds. They're just in the beginning stage, the invisible stage. He knelt beside the empty-looking earth. If I stopped watering this plot today because I don't see flowers yet, then it truly would die. The seed would shrivel up. The tiny root would dry out. But if I keep faith, keep watering, keep tending, keep trusting, it will become like that. He pointed to the blooming garden in full glory. Brother Samuel sat on the bench and gestured for Marcus to join him. Let me teach you 3 truths about real faith, Marcus. The kind of faith that survives when everything crumbles. First, faith is not belief that God will remove your suffering. Faith is trust that God is working even through your suffering. Every single plot goes through the invisible stage. Every single one. Your life right now feels like plot 1. Nothing visible happening. But that doesn't mean nothing is happening. Beneath the surface of your pain, seeds are swelling. Eleanor's illness is teaching you both something you needed to learn. Your job loss is redirecting you towards something better. Your mother's death is not the end of her love. It lives on in you, in your children, like seeds she planted. The seed doesn't curse the darkness of the soil. It uses the darkness to grow its first root. Your pain is not proof God abandoned you. It might be the very soil where your deepest growth is happening. Second, faith is watering seeds you cannot yet see. Every morning I water plot 1. To anyone watching, I look foolish watering empty dirt. But I'm not watering dirt. I'm watering seeds that are doing invisible work. Your prayers are not falling on deaf ears, Marcus. They're not echoing into emptiness. They're watering seeds of transformation you cannot yet see. Keep praying. Keep believing even when you see nothing, especially when you see nothing. Because faith is not about seeing results immediately. Faith is trusting the process in the dark. Third, faith is active trust that keeps planting even when harvests fail. Look around this garden over the years. Some seeds I planted never grew. Some plants I tended died in storms. Some plots failed completely. But I didn't stop planting. I didn't stop watering. Because faith is not about guarantees. It's about trust that the act of planting matters even when individual seeds fail. You may be in plot 2 right now. Marcus, that desperate moment of breaking through. What if you're so close that giving up now would be the greatest tragedy of your life? Brother Samuel reached into his pocket and pulled out a small cloth packet of seeds. Go home, plant these in your garden. Water them every day, even when you see nothing. And while you water, pray, not demanding God show you flowers tomorrow, but thanking Him for the invisible work happening today. He placed the seeds in Marcus's trembling hands. Faith is this simple and this hard. Planting these seeds in soil that looks dead, watering them when you see nothing, and trusting that growth happens in the dark. Can you do that, Marcus? Marcus closed his fist around the seeds and nodded, tears streaming down his face. That afternoon, Marcus returned home and planted the seeds in a small plot behind his house. It felt almost ridiculous. His life was falling apart and he was planting flowers. But something had shifted inside him. That evening, he knelt by the freshly planted soil and prayed differently than he ever had before. Not demanding, not bargaining, just trusting. I don't understand what's happening, he whispered, but I'm going to trust that you're doing something I can't see yet. Every morning, Marcus woke up and watered his plot. Some mornings he felt hopeful. Some mornings he felt nothing, but he watered anyway, day after day, week after week. The soil looked empty, but Marcus was changing. 2 weeks after planting the seeds, Marcus saw a posting for a position at a small manufacturing company. It wasn't in his field. It paid less than his old job, but something inside him, maybe Brother Samuel's voice, maybe faith, said, apply. He did. 3 days later, they offered him the job. It wasn't what he wanted, but it was something. A tiny green shoot, barely visible, breaking through the soil. Elena's illness didn't disappear. The symptoms continued, but something unexpected happened. The crisis had forced Marcus and Elena to talk more deeply than they had in years. They appreciated small moments, holding hands, watching sunsets, laughing at small things. One evening, Elena said, Marcus, I don't know why this is happening to us. I'm still scared, but I feel like we're becoming who we're meant to be through this. Does that make sense? Marcus thought of plot 1, where seeds were transforming in the darkness. Yes, he said, it makes perfect sense. Marcus worked at his new job with quiet diligence. He didn't complain, he helped others. He showed up every day with integrity. His manager noticed. 4 months after Marcus started, the manager called him in. Marcus' heart sank. Was he being let go again? Marcus, the manager, said, I've been watching you, your attitude, your work ethic, how you treat people, even when you're clearly going through something hard. We're expanding and I'd like you to oversee the new production line. It's more responsibility and it pays more than your old job ever did. Marcus sat in stunned silence. The job he thought was a setback had become a doorway. That evening, 5 months after planting Brother Samuel's seeds, Marcus walked into his backyard and stopped in his tracks. His empty plot, the one he'd watered every single day while seeing nothing, had transformed. Flowers, beautiful, vibrant flowers in full bloom. He knelt in the soil just like he had that night months ago when he wanted to give up. But this time, he wasn't defeated. He whispered, you were there the whole time, working, waiting, growing things I couldn't see. The next week, Elena's doctor delivered cautiously optimistic news. After months of testing, they'd finally identified her condition properly. With the right treatment plan, her prognosis was much better than they'd feared. I can't promise it will be easy, the doctor said, but there's real hope now. Marcus and Elena held each other and cried. Not because everything was suddenly perfect, but because they understood now. Faith isn't about avoiding the darkness. It's about trusting there's growth happening in it. The following Sunday, Marcus returned to the monastery garden. Brother Samuel was there as always, tending his plots. Brother Samuel, Marcus said, I need to show you something. He pulled out his phone and showed pictures of his blooming garden. The old monk smiled warmly. You learned the lesson. I learned that faith isn't about getting what I want when I want it. Marcus said, faith is about trusting that God is working even when I see nothing, especially when I see nothing. Brother Samuel placed a weathered hand on Marcus's shoulder. Now you understand what I couldn't simply tell you. You had to plant. You had to water. You had to wait. You had to trust. And now you've seen with your own eyes. Something sacred always grows in the dark. My friend, if you're in a season where your prayers feel unanswered, if you've watered seeds and seen nothing grow, if you're wondering whether God even hears you, listen carefully. Faith is not belief that God will give you what you want. Faith is trust that God is doing something beneath the surface that you cannot yet see. The seed in the soil looks dead, but it's not dead. It's transforming, building roots, drawing strength, preparing for the moment it breaks through into light. Remember 3 things. First, your pain is not proof of God's absence. It might be the soil of your deepest growth. Every garden goes through the invisible stage. You're not in the wrong place. You're in plot 1 or plot 2. Growth is happening. You just can't see it yet. Second, keep watering seeds you can't see. Keep praying. Keep believing. Keep showing up, even when nothing seems to change, especially when nothing seems to change. Growth happens in the invisible hours. Third, you might be closer to breakthrough than you know. The seeds in plot 2 are pushing through soil right now. It's the hardest moment. What if you're right there? What if giving up now means missing the bloom by days? Your season of waiting is not wasted time. Your unanswered prayers are not unheard prayers. Your silent nights are not empty nights. Something is growing. Something you cannot yet see, but it's there in the soil, in the darkness, building roots that will one day support beautiful flowers. And one morning, sooner or later, you will wake up and see flowers where there was once only dirt, and you'll understand God was there the whole time. You just had to have faith in the invisible work. If this story touched your heart, if you needed to hear that your waiting is not wasted, share this with someone who's in their season of invisible growth. Sometimes the greatest gift is reminding someone that seeds are working beneath the surface. Leave a comment and tell me, what plot are you in right now? Plot 1, 2, 3 or 4. You're not alone in your waiting. Don't forget to like this video, share it with someone who needs encouragement, and subscribe to Stories of Motivation for more faith-filled stories every week. Until then, remember this. Faith is not seeing the flower and believing in the seed. Faith is seeing only dirt and watering it anyway, because something sacred is always growing in the dark. Keep watering, my friend. Keep believing the bloom is coming.